What is going on, you Stallions and Stallionettes? AK40 Kevin here in the gamer heaven. Today is going to be a review of a Raspberry Pi 3B image. This is a 256 gigabyte image. It's loaded with over 30,000 games, 60 consoles, full Kodi build, and a whole bunch of other tweaks in there, such as N64 workarounds and optimizations, and full bezels for all of the consoles and specific games. So without further ado, guys, let's crack right into this bad boy. I have been using this image pretty much exclusively for the last 2 or 3 months on my overclocked Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, and it's pretty darn awesome. I just built a Pi 4 with 8 gigabytes, so I'm going to need a Pi 4 image for that. So if you guys have any good recommendations for Pi images, go ahead and drop them in the comment section down there below, and I'll be sure to get around to checking it out and doing a review for it. So there is background music playing right now. I have it turned down pretty low, so hopefully it's not picked up on the mic very much. First thing I do anytime I review a image or build for a retro Pi, I go into the settings first so we can see kind of some of the tweaks and features that they packed in to their build. Like I said, this one does have background music. You can disable it from here. There are also full bezels for all games, so I've tested all the consoles on here. The handhelds have actual, bezels with graphics of either the console itself and then your actual gameplays within the bezel of that. Or it seems like there's bezels for pretty much almost every game on this image. So not just the consoles, but like for Tomb Raider, you've got cool pictures of Lara Croft on each side. Basically getting the screen to the right aspect ratio. And it seems like a lot of the games have been optimized really, really well. There's already pre-installed N64 tweaks to keep everything running smooth, so all the little patches and tweaks that happen behind the scenes are all done for you on this image. You don't have to mess around with script files or anything like that, which is really, really cool. Down here in the Easy Hacks toolkit, if you open this up, they have a ton of stuff installed on this image here, guys. So of course you have your video splash screens. These aren't just the regular splash screens that you add to the startup of your Pi, where it runs a cool 30-second video instead of looking at the scripts running when you start the Pi. These are actual splash screen videos that can play each time you launch a game. While it's loading up your game, you can see a cool little video for each console, which is really, really cool. They have also installed the scripts to expand to external drives. So if you plug in like a 2 terabyte external or anything like that, it's going to automatically have compatibility for that, which is awesome. They had the flip Sega Genesis Mega Drive, which is cool because it was called Mega Drive over there in Euroland and in North America, the States, it was called Genesis. So just seeing it called Genesis, which is a console that I grew up with, is pretty cool. There is background music here. You can also install your own tracks if you want. Here's your power button feature. So this is how you're going to soft reset and soft shut down your system. Overscan is enabled, which is great. So no matter if you have a 4K or a 1080p TV, it's going to automatically detect that and overscan, so you don't have a bunch of black lines or bars with a bezel that you don't want. It also has support for aim track light gun already installed, so it's one less script you have to run. So if you are trying to do some light gun, duck hunt or something like that, you're good there. It has automatic updates that do get installed via Wi-Fi. You can turn auto update on and off, which is great. And then it's also got the Zenmo 2-player enable on there as well. Like I mentioned, N64 tweaks, those are already pre-running, pre-installed by default. Awesome, awesome. So some really good work here, guys. Obviously pressing select here will put you into your screensaver mode. Yeah, they got some pretty interesting images here and whatnot. No need to scrape or anything like that. They already have box art and information for all the games on here, which is great because there's a lot of titles on this thing. 32,256 games. Now, I'm sure there might be a couple duplicates in there, or there might be some games that are just kind of trash titles that nobody cares about or might not be fully optimized, but I haven't found any. To be honest, anytime I look for a game, like I think to myself, man, I want to play this PS1 game, or man, I want to play this SNES game. I go in there and I've never been like, oh, well, I guess they don't have that one. They have every game that I've ever desired to play on this build, which is primarily the reason I haven't upgraded or changed to a different build in about 3 months. This build has everything you need. Yeah, a lot of these consoles just are not supported by this theme, and that's primarily because they're not actual legit consoles. Like, for example, you know, there's real Amiga up here, but then there's Amiga right below it, and that's just community-driven games, hacks, you know, specific little indie third-party versions of games and whatnot that the community's made. But all the real consoles, though, Amstrad, stuff like that, Apple II, that is all supported by this theme. And this theme looks super duper cool. So Comic Crazy is a really, really cool theme, but it doesn't have very good support for this build here. There's probably, I'd say, 2/3 of the consoles are not supported, and it actually causes the user interface to crash every once in a while, which is unfortunate because I have used this particular, theme in the past, and it worked very well. It's just a really cool, vibrant comic book theme. So we're going to switch back over to something that is meant for this build, the actual default for this build. By the way, that scented air diffuser vaporizer thing right there isn't really flashing in real life. It's just one solid color, but for some reason on the camera, it looks like it's pulsating or there's lines flowing through it or some weird stuff. In real life, IRL, it's just one static color. It's like a white, grayish white, so I don't understand why it looks like that on camera. You gotta believe me, it's not doing that craziness in real life, boys. So I'd recommend, if you have this build, just stick with the default theme. If you install your own, a lot of these systems will not be supported because, again, they're not the actual consoles, like Amiga hacks right here. Some of these are like made-up consoles that are just community-built games and stuff like that. But you do have a ton of really awesome consoles in here. Apple II, 1507 arcade classics, and they are optimized, and they do have the bezels for them too, which is really cool. We'll launch one right now. And each time you launch a game, whatever console it is, so this is an arcade classic, it's going to show you whatever console that is for the loading screen, which is really, really nice. Awesome. So there's those bezels I was talking about. Really cool. Basically, whatever aspect ratio this was supposed to be. So this was in, you know, a freestanding arcade system. And obviously, the shape of that's a lot different than a 16:9 or 4:3 home television, whether you're on wide or standard aspect ratio. So, yeah, that's really neat. This does also have analog stick support, so you can play with the D-pad or you can use the analog stick. Being as this is an arcade game, you know, a joystick controller would be ideal. I don't have one of those yet. I have SNES, NES, Sega Genesis, PS1, PS2. I need to get some Atari joystick controllers. Oh, I've been blown out of the water, boys. Game Boy Advance hacks. What do we got in here? So all these games have hacked versions of them. Game Boy Color, 588 games. You got Sega Master System, Mega Drive, Sega Mega Drive, which is actually Genesis, 759 games. N64, 33 titles, and all of these run as well as they can for being on a Pi 3B+. You know, the Pi 4, especially with an overclock, handles these a lot better. But we are going to try some of these right now. So as you can see, I mean, this runs incredibly well for being an N64 title here. So this build has 60 systems, which is quite a damn bit. How do I steer? Why the fuck can I not steer? What is going on here in this world? All right, good talk, good talk. So rather than my controller being a janky old bitch, actually it was operator error. I actually had my PS2 controller, obviously not remapped for the controls of an N64. I should have just plugged in my N64 controller for the demonstration purposes of this video. But anyway, the image itself is fantastic. There is bezels for every single game. I haven't tried all 32,000, but they do label it as bezels for all, and I do believe it because every single one that I've tried, I've even picked random games that aren't really my flavor or forte from consoles that don't really tickle me in the nostalgia spot down there. But everything seemed to have bezels. There's working box art for everything, including if you hover over a title for a few seconds, you'll get a little 30-second gameplay clip and whatnot. It's really, really nice. A lot of really niche systems on here, as there is 60 consoles. A lot of those are hacks and third-party games from the community and whatnot, but there's a lot of authentic consoles on here. All the best PlayStation 1 titles on there, optimized really, really well. The N64 tweaks work phenomenally. I had no issues with Banjo-Kazooie, Zelda, Super Mario 64, which are the N64 titles that I primarily played on this image here. I did try running GoldenEye, and of course it runs super janky, but that's to be expected with emulating on the Raspberry Pi, as it's a really hard game to emulate. It was not optimized well, and it does not work great for emulation. So unless you're running on like your actual like gaming PC, your desktop, then you're probably not going to have too great a luck with these little single board computers running GoldenEye. But yeah, just a really fluid experience. They do have a Kodi build on here. There is no stock overclock on this image to my knowledge. I read the forums. Nobody has a distinct answer, but it seemed like it was on a stock clock here. But I had no issues whatsoever with undervolting or overheating. Just a fantastic image. So this bad little boy of an image came out March 28th of 2019, so it is rather old. It is still in the 2019 archives of Arcade Punks, and it is still available for download. However, being a torrent file, you're probably not going to have very many seeds out there to actually get this bad boy downloaded, but it is possible, and I'm sure you could dig the interwebs to find another source for it, and it's not a bad image, boys.